A few weeks ago, a notebook was found inside an abandoned apartment. Inside were dozens of handwritten pages describing a strange event that supposedly happened in the city. According to the author, the city's water supply suddenly turned black. At first, it seemed like a simple contamination issue, but soon after, people who drank the water began behaving differently. They stopped breathing, they stopped reacting to pain, and they began trying to convince everyone else to drink the water too. The following story is a reconstruction of that journal. Whether it's real or not, I'll let you decide.
Recently, a real nightmare began in my city. A nightmare that came from nowhere. Deadly and unpredictable, it filled every house and every person. Although, no, not every person. That would be wrong. But most, yes, most people had something happen to them. Something strange and inexplicable. I would even say something terrible. Something terrifying. Now I will try to tell you about it. I'll start from the very beginning in the smallest details because I want people to know what happened and where it came from. A thick notebook. The pen still writes. I'm not in much hurry. My name is Michael Carter. I turned 24 recently, just before all these dark events. I lived a normal life. I live in an apartment my parents saved up half their lives for. I studied, dated a girl, and had friends. We often had fun together, walking around, drinking, just enjoying ourselves. Exactly until the water supply problems began. What does that have to do with it? You'll find out now. I'll tell you from the first day these problems started. I live in an old 5-story brick apartment building, built in the late 1960s. As I said earlier, my parents bought me this apartment. They bought it basically as bare walls. Well, not completely bare. There were just some ancient old wallpapers glued on. I did the renovation myself and furnished the apartment with my own honestly and not so honestly earned money. After a year of effort, I achieved a more or less decent result. Only one problem remained: the sewage and water supply. They were completely worn out. Rusty pipes, everything rusty, everything leaking. No matter how many times I tried to replace them, called the city maintenance office workers, it was all useless. They constantly had problems with shutting off the water, or they simply didn't show up at all, so nothing ever got replaced. Sometimes rusty water flowed from the tap, both in the bathroom and in the kitchen. At first it happened rarely, but the longer I lived in this place, the more often that disgusting rusty water appeared in my sink. Sometimes it even had a truly horrible smell. But until recently, this rusty water seemed like something ordinary to me, typical for this town. Then something strange started happening. That evening, I came home late from work, as usual. I immediately went to the kitchen, carrying a bag of food. I was terribly hungry, had worked like a horse all day, didn't even have time for a snack. And then came the moment. I put sausages in the frying pan, sliced some pickles, poured boiling water over cup noodles. After a hearty dinner, I opened the tap to wash the dishes. A few seconds later, rusty water started pouring out. Damn it. Great. I guess I'll have to go to bed dirty again, I muttered, looking at the pile of dishes in the sink. To tell the truth, I'm very neat. I love order and cleanliness. There's also a good reason for that. Small red bugs that sometimes visit me from the apartment across the hall. Complete trashy drunks across the hall live there. Looks like cockroaches have 24/7 parties in their place. That's why I always clean everything at night. Leave even a crumb on the floor, and a couple of bold roaches will come running. I went to bed around 12:30 a.m., still hoping normal water would return. It didn't. so I fell asleep dirty and smelly. In the morning, half asleep, I thought I urgently needed to take a shower. My head was already starting to itch. Not fully awake, I straight went to the bathroom and turned on the shower. Something black started flowing. The water was black, black as oil. I instantly woke up, rubbed my eyes with hands splashed by the black water. The smell, like stagnant swamp water, filled the bathroom. What the hell is going on? I quickly threw on some clothes and went into the hallway, knocked on neighbors' doors. One apartment, then another, then a third. Everyone had the same problem. Angry, dissatisfied faces. Everyone waiting for something that would never happen, though we didn't know that yet. I went to the store to buy water. Couldn't wash, couldn't brush my teeth, couldn't even make coffee. Good thing I woke up early. At the store, I bought a couple of gallon jugs of water. The people behind me in line were also grabbing water. They sarcastically praised the city water department. From their conversation, I realized this wasn't just our building. When I came back, people were already gathered in the yard. Old ladies, men, women, all discussing the problem. But what's the point? Talking wouldn't turn on clean water. I did my morning routine as best I could and went to work, hoping everything would be fine by evening. It wasn't. At work, the same black water flowed, the same smell. Luckily, we still had drinking water in the cooler.
The next day, the story repeated. The water became even darker. 3 days later, the office stopped receiving water deliveries. First, they told us to bring water from home. Then they started letting everyone go early. Stores quickly ran out of water. People began grabbing everything liquid: cola, Pepsi, energy drinks. The most interesting thing? At the city water utility, they just shrugged. They didn't understand anything either. Then tankers began arriving in the city. Kilometer-long lines formed. But what the driver said shocked everyone. There's no water anywhere. No water in nearby towns, rural areas, private wells, nothing. Nowhere. Rivers are black. We're bringing the last reserves. Fresh water in rivers, can't we drink that? I asked once. Go look at the river, Mr. Jenkins behind me shouted. The river's black, with some weird sediment. That's what's coming from your tap. Each day, fewer tankers arrived. Fights broke out in the lines. Then they stopped coming altogether. Store shelves were empty. Food everywhere, but no water. From the tap flowed the same black substance. Sometimes it seemed like it turned on by itself, like it was alive. I still had some drinking water left, but I couldn't cook or wash anymore. One day I went outside and realized people had started drinking that black filth. How did I know? Black stains on their faces, in their hair, like they had washed in it. And then the worst began. People who drank it changed. They walked the streets normally, dressed normally, but something was wrong. They didn't wipe their faces clean, as if it didn't bother them. Then I understood. Mr. Jenkins from the line approached me one day, his face black, hands stretched forward as if carrying water in his palms. Here, drink, son. The water's fine. No thanks, I said. He screamed, drink! And then I noticed he wasn't breathing. No chest movement. No inhale, no exhale. Suddenly he turned and ran into an apartment building entrance. Later, on the bus, I saw more of them. The dirty ones, I started calling them. One woman sat at the back, picking at her mouth. Then she started pulling out her own teeth. Blood pouring, but she made no sound. Others cracked their fingers, twisted ropes, moved unnaturally. I got off early. I went to visit my friend Ethan Miller.
When he opened the door, his face, neck, and hands were black. He stood motionless, not breathing. "Don't tell me you drank that," I asked. He smiled. "Want some?" He brought me a mug, black liquid inside. No. I took out my own water bottle. He suddenly knocked it out of my hands. "Drink." He wasn't breathing. Then he suddenly ran into the corner and smashed his head against the wall at full speed. His neck twisted unnaturally, but he was alive, blinking. No human could survive that. I ran. The streets were empty, windows dark. For 4 days I stayed home. Then the mobile connection disappeared, electricity went out, more dirty ones outside each day. Now someone knocks at my door at night. Persistent, long knocks. Yesterday it was Mrs. Harper from downstairs. Black, silent. They keep offering me water. I'm scared. There's darkness outside. Something that used to be my neighbor's is trying to get in. My water is gone, food almost gone. If I don't go outside soon, I'll give up and drink that black mash. They knocked again tonight. Maybe they just want me to drink too. I'll survive this night somehow. Tomorrow, I'll arm myself with something and go outside.